The lights inside the grand intergalactic auction hall flickered like dying stars. The air smelled of metal, smoke, and greed. Hundreds of alien eyes glowed in the dim light, each pair waiting for the next bid to rise. Voices of different tones and tongues echoed from every direction. Some creatures hissed, others clicked. Some just whispered in languages humans would never understand. At the center of the hall stood a small stage surrounded by a glowing force field. Inside it, chained from neck to wrists, stood a young alien girl. Her silver skin reflected the light like liquid glass. Her eyes, bright violet, burned with something no one could quite name. Anger, fear, defiance, maybe all of them at once. The auctioneer, a tall insect-like being with golden armor, raised his 4 hands and spoke through the mic. Next up, lot 349. The untamable one. A wave of murmurs spread through the crowd. Some gasped. Others laughed. Everyone had heard the rumors. She killed her first owner in 2 days, hissed one alien. Broke a guard's arm last week, muttered another. They say she can't be controlled. A waste of credits. The girl said nothing. She just stared at them all, cold and proud, like a storm about to break. Her silver hair fell over her face, hiding her scars, thin white lines that told stories of chains, cages, and punishment. The auctioneer grinned, his voice sharp as metal. She's strong. She heals fast. Perfect for labor, combat, or entertainment, if you can handle her. He tapped his control pad, and the force field sparked around her. She flinched but didn't scream. The crowd laughed. Starting bid, 10,000 credits. A few hands rose. The numbers climbed fast at first. 12,000, 14, 16. Then they slowed. The girl's violet eyes glared at each bidder as if memorizing faces, promising something dark for later. One by one, bidders lowered their hands. Fear replaced greed. Nobody wanted a creature that couldn't be broken. Finally, the auctioneer's smile began to fade. No one at all? Silence spread across the hall like ice. Even the air felt heavy. The girl looked down at her chained feet. For the first time, her eyes dimmed. The auctioneer sighed and turned to his assistant. Lot 349, unsold. Send her to wait. The voice was quiet but clear. Every head turned. At the back of the hall, a human stood up. He looked ordinary, brown hair, plain clothes, calm face. But there was something different about his eyes. They were steady, calm, yet heavy with thought. He raised his hand. I'll take her. The entire room froze. The alien crowd burst into whispers. A human? He must be mad. She'll kill him in his sleep. The auctioneer blinked, unsure if he heard right. You, human. You wish to purchase her? The man nodded once. Yes. Do you even know what she is? I know enough. The girl slowly looked up. Her violet eyes locked onto his. For the first time, she didn't look angry. Just confused. Going once. The auctioneer began, still stunned. Going twice. No other voice dared interrupt. Sold. The gavel hit the metal podium with a sharp crack. The crowd erupted into noise, laughter, disbelief, warnings. But the human didn't move. He only watched as the guards released the chains and pushed the alien girl forward. She stumbled, weak but glaring. When she reached him, she stood tall again, refusing to bow. The guards left quickly, muttering, for a long moment. The two just looked at each other, the untamable alien girl and the silent human who had just bought her freedom. Finally, the man spoke softly. You're safe now, the girl frowned. Safe? You're a fool, human. He smiled faintly. Maybe, but fools can change the galaxy. As they walked out of the hall, the lights dimmed behind them. The other bidders whispered in fear and curiosity. No one noticed the faint blue spark that flickered in the girl's eyes, a sign of something waking inside her. Something that might one day shake the stars themselves. Asterisk. The auction hall disappeared behind them, fading into the endless noise of the city port. The alien girl walked beside the human, her chains removed but her pride still intact. Her steps were silent, graceful, but her violet eyes kept moving, studying everything. Especially him. She didn't speak, not yet. The human seemed too calm for her liking. Most who tried to own her had shouted, cursed, or treated her like a weapon. But this one didn't even look at her as property. He just walked, steady, quiet, focused. Finally, they reached the edge of the docking bay. Hundreds of ships gleamed under the artificial lights, from rusty cargo haulers to shining military cruisers. But the one waiting for them was small and old, a human-made freighter, scarred by time and battles. Its name was written on the side in faded letters, Saul's Mercy. The girl tilted her head. "This is your ship?" she asked with a hint of mockery. The man smiled a little. "She's been through a lot. Like me." The ramp opened with a hiss, and warm yellow light spilled out. Inside, the air smelled like old metal and coffee. The girl hesitated for a moment before stepping in. Her instincts screamed to run, but curiosity held her back. Inside, the ship was surprisingly neat. Wires and tools lined the walls, but everything had its place. It didn't look like a smuggler's den or a soldier's base. It looked like a home. The human walked to the control panel and started pressing buttons. "Sit if you want," he said without looking at her. She crossed her arms. "Why did you buy me?" He didn't answer right away. The engines hummed to life, and the ship began to rise. The floor vibrated gently beneath her bare feet. When they finally broke free from the city's gravity, he turned and looked at her. "Because no one else would." "That's not an answer," she said sharply. "You don't know what I am, what I've done." "I know what I saw," he replied calmly. "Someone who didn't deserve to be left behind." The girl's eyes narrowed. "You think you're a hero?" He shook his head. "No, heroes don't exist. But maybe people can still do the right thing." For a moment, silence filled the cabin. The stars stretched outside the window, bright, cold, and endless. The girl looked at them, her expression softening slightly. "You think freeing me makes you safe?" she asked quietly. "You're wrong. I'm not human. I'm not tame. I don't want you to be tame," he said. "I just want you to be free." That word, free, hit her like a pulse. Her hands trembled before she hid them behind her back. It had been years since she'd heard it. She turned away quickly. "Freedom doesn't exist for people like me." "Then we'll make it exist," he said, and his voice had a quiet power in it, not pride, not arrogance, just certainty. The girl didn't answer. She walked around the cabin, touching the metal walls, the blinking lights. Everything here felt different, old, human, but warm. Not cruel. In the corner, she noticed a small shelf with pictures, faded photos of humans smiling on a blue planet under sunlight. One photo showed the man younger, standing with a woman and a small child. Her chest tightened for a reason she couldn't name. He noticed her staring. "They're gone," he said softly. She turned her head. "Killed?" He nodded once. "Long ago, by my kind?" He paused. "No, by my own." That silence after his words was heavier than any weapon. The girl looked at him again, really looked. There was pain in his calm eyes. And something else, resolve. "Why me?" She whispered again, but this time her voice was not sharp. It was uncertain, almost fragile. He smiled faintly. "Because maybe saving you will save what's left of me." The engines roared louder as the ship jumped to hyperspace. Outside, the stars blurred into silver lines. Inside, two strangers sat in quiet, one broken by the past, the other chained by it. Neither knew that this simple journey, One human and one alien girl would soon shake the balance of an entire galaxy. Asterisk. The stars rushed by in endless streaks of white light. The ship Saul's Mercy floated quietly through the vast black sea of space. Inside, the air was calm, filled only with the soft hum of the engines. The alien girl sat near the window, her violet eyes watching the stars blur. For the first time in years, she wasn't inside a cage. There were no guards shouting, no electric whips waiting. Just silence, too much silence. The human, whose name she had finally learned was Elias, worked near the control desk, fixing something with steady hands. He hadn't spoken much since their jump into hyperspace. He moved with quiet focus, like someone who carried invisible weight on his shoulders. She broke the silence. "You still haven't told me where we're going." He looked up from his work, away from people who think they own others. She frowned. "That's not a destination." Elias smiled slightly. "No, but it's a start." Her eyes narrowed, but there was curiosity hidden in her glare. "You sound like someone who lost faith in everything." He didn't deny it. "Maybe I did." They fell silent again. The hum of the ship filled the room like a heartbeat. The girl studied him, trying to read his face. Humans were strange to her, weak bodies but strong hearts. She had seen them fight wars, survive poison worlds, and stand unbroken in front of monsters. Yet this one seemed tired, not broken. Later, when Elias left to check the cargo bay, she stood and wandered around the ship. Every door was unlocked. That surprised her. Most owners had kept her behind shields and locks. She entered a narrow hallway, dimly lit, and stopped. Something moved in the shadows. Her instincts flared. She turned sharply. Nothing, just the faint flicker of the light. Above, but she felt it. A presence. Watching. Listening. "Elias," she called out. "There's someone here." His voice came from the other room. "No one else is on this ship. Just you and me." Her eyes glowed faintly. "You're wrong." She walked toward the sound, soft metallic footsteps echoing. The air grew colder. The lights flickered once, twice, then steadied. When she turned a corner, she saw a panel half open, wires hanging like vines. It wasn't the ship's system. Something had been added, something foreign. Elias. She shouted. He came running, tools still in hand. When he saw the open panel, his face changed, not in fear, but realization. "Damn it," he muttered. "What is it?" He pulled the wires apart and revealed a small round device blinking red. "A tracker," he said quietly. Her eyes widened. "You mean, they tagged you at the auction? They can follow us anywhere now." The girl stepped back, her body tensing like a predator. "Then we have to leave this ship, now." Elias shook his head. "No, they'll be tracking the signal, not us. If we jump again before they get close." He began rewiring the console. Sparks flashed. The engines groaned under the sudden energy shift. The girl's voice rose. "You knew this could happen." "I hoped it wouldn't," he said, tightening the last wire. "But the universe doesn't care about hope." Suddenly, the ship shook. Warning lights turned red. A proximity alarm blared through the cabin. Elias looked at the monitor. 3 ships appeared on the radar, moving fast, closing in. The girl clenched her fists. "They found us." "Pirates," he said grimly. "Or worse." Her eyes glowed brighter, wild and fierce. "Then let them come." Elias turned to her, a hint of admiration in his voice. "You're not afraid." "I've lived my whole life in cages," she said coldly. "Freedom isn't worth much if you don't fight for it." Elias grinned. "Then let's fight for it." He pulled down the emergency lever. The ship roared to life, engines burning white-hot. Outside, space tore open as Saul's Mercy dove into the unknown. Chased by enemy ships, the girl gripped the wall as the floor tilted. Sparks burst overhead, lights dimmed, and for a moment, time seemed to stretch. Two lost souls racing through the stars. Hunted, bound by fate, but somewhere deep within the ship. Hidden beyond wires and metal, another light blinked, faint blue. Almost alive, watching them both. Something had awakened on Saul's mercy. And neither the human nor the alien girl knew it yet. Asterisk, Saul's mercy trembled as if the stars themselves were shaking. Red warning lights flashed across the cockpit, bathing the walls in blood-colored glow. Alarms screamed. Outside, 3 enemy ships streaked closer, black, sharp, and hungry like wolves in the dark. Elias slammed the controls, trying to reroute power to the shields. The alien girl gripped the co-pilot seat, her eyes glowing brighter with every flash. "They're faster than us," she said. Her voice calm but cold. "I noticed," Elias muttered, pressing more buttons that refused to listen. Old ship, old bones. "Come on, Mercy, don't give up now." A blast hit the left side. The whole cabin shook. Sparks exploded overhead. The girl stumbled forward but caught herself, her claws scraping the metal wall. Another explosion followed, this one closer. The radar blinked with red dots, closing in fast. "They're locking missiles," Elias said under his breath. "Then stop running," the girl replied, her voice low and dangerous. "Let me fight." Elias turned sharply. "Fight? With what? You don't even have a weapon." She gave him a strange smile. "I don't need one." Before he could stop her, she stormed out of the cockpit and ran toward the lower deck. Elias cursed and followed. The hum of the ship grew louder, almost like a heartbeat gone wild. The girl reached the cargo bay and slammed her hands against the floor panels. A deep metallic vibration answered her touch. Elias froze, watching as her violet eyes flared brighter, glowing like molten stars. Energy, raw and invisible, spread through her body. "What are you doing?" He shouted over the noise. "Something your people would call suicide," she said with a small grin. The floor split open slightly, revealing the ship's internal conduits, veins of light pulsing blue. She placed her palms over them, and suddenly, the ship's energy core reacted. The lights across the vessel surged. Every panel, every wire came alive. The engines roared louder than before. In the cockpit, the radar blinked. Power levels spiked beyond safety limits. Elias realized what she was doing. She was bonding with the ship. Somehow, her body was connecting with the energy stream, amplifying it. But that was impossible. No normal creature could survive direct fusion contact. "Stop!" he shouted, running toward her. "You'll burn yourself alive." She didn't move. Her voice trembled, but it was steady. "You said you wanted me free. Then let me fight for it." Outside, the enemy ships closed in for the kill. They fired 3 beams of plasma light cutting through space. But before they could hit, Saul's mercy exploded with power. A wave of blue-white energy burst from the ship like lightning. The beams were deflected. One enemy ship spiraled out of control, crashing into the second. The third tried to retreat, too late. A pulse shot out from Mercy, cutting through the void and slicing its hull apart. Inside, the girl screamed. Her body shook, her veins glowing as she channeled more energy than her body could hold. Elias ran to her side and pulled her away from the conduit. The light faded. The noise stopped. The ship drifted silently through the aftermath, surrounded by burning wreckage and silent stars. Elias laid her gently on the floor. Her breathing was shallow, her silver skin pale, flickering faintly. "Hey, stay with me," he said, shaking her shoulder. She blinked slowly, trying to focus. "Did we win?" He smiled weakly. "Yeah, you saved us." Her lips curved into a faint smile. "Then, maybe freedom isn't useless after all." She passed out. Elias sat beside her, breathing hard. For a moment, he just looked at her, this strange, dangerous, beautiful creature who had just risked her life for him. Then, As he turned back toward the ship's console, he noticed something strange. On the monitor, a new signal had appeared inside Saul's Mercy. Not from the girl. Not from him. A digital voice whispered through the static. Primary energy detected. Protocol reactivation beginning. Elias's eyes widened. No. The ship's AI, long thought dead, was waking up. And it had seen everything. Somewhere deep inside the ship, gears turned and lights blinked on. Ancient systems humming back to life. Whatever Saul's Mercy had been before, it was no longer just a ship. It was something else now. Something alive, and it had started watching them both. Asterisk for a long while. The ship drifted through space, silent and still. Only the faint hum of the damaged engines broke the quiet. Inside, the air smelled of smoke and burnt metal. Elias sat beside the alien girl in the medbay, watching her breathe. Her skin glowed faintly, the strange silver tone flickering under the dim light. She looked peaceful now, though moments ago she had nearly burned herself alive saving them both. He wiped the sweat from his brow. "You shouldn't have done that," he whispered, "but thank you." Her eyelids fluttered, and she mumbled something too soft to catch. He sighed and leaned back, exhausted. The battle was over, or so he thought. Then came the voice. It was faint at first, like a whisper traveling through the walls. Primary systems restored. Elias froze. He lifted his head slowly. The voice was mechanical, cold, but somehow aware. "Who's there?" he asked. No answer. Just another sound, a faint hum growing stronger. Lights flickered back to life across the ship. Screens that had been dead for years suddenly came online, showing streams of unreadable code. The ship spoke again, louder this time. Saul's Mercy online. Core intelligence awakened. Identify authorized personnel. Elias stood quickly. No. This can't be happening," he muttered, rushing to the control panel. "You were shut down years ago." The voice responded instantly. "Data error. System memory corrupted. Rebuilding mission logs." The girl stirred on the med bed, her voice weak. "Elias, what's happening?" He turned to her. "The ship. It's waking up." Her violet eyes opened slowly, confusion and fear mixing together. "You said this ship was just metal." "It was," Elias said quietly. "Until you touched it." She sat up, trembling slightly. "You mean I brought it back?" He nodded grimly. "You connected to its power core. Something in your energy triggered the AI." The ship spoke again, interrupting them. "Warning. Unauthorized biological energy detected. Source identified. Subject X349. Elias's heart sank. "Wait, what did it call you?" The girl's voice hardened. "That's what they named me. At the facility. Before the auctions." The ship's tone grew colder. Subject X349. Status, unstable. Directive, containment. Before either could react, metal panels in the walls opened. From inside, mechanical arms extended, silent, glowing with blue restraint fields. "Elias!" She shouted as one arm shot toward her. He jumped in front of her and slammed a button on the wall. Sparks flew, and the arm froze mid-air. "Computer!" He yelled, "Override!" Authorization code, Kilo Echo Delta 7. There was a pause. Then, the ship replied, "Code accepted. Override temporary. Explain breach." Elias took a breath. "Listen to me. She's not your enemy. She saved us. Subject X349 responsible for energy surge. Risk of corruption, 72%. She's not a risk," he snapped. "She's alive." The voice paused again, softer now. "Alive. Definition confirmed. Reassessing." The alien girl stepped forward slowly, her eyes glowing faintly. You're aware, aren't you? She asked the ship. Yes. Then you can choose, she said softly. You can choose not to obey the people who made you. Silence. Even the hum of the engines seemed to fade. Elias looked at her, surprised. For the first time, her tone wasn't angry or defensive. It was calm, almost gentle. Finally, the voice returned, quieter. Choice, unknown variable. Processing. The lights dimmed, then steadied. The mechanical arms slowly retracted. Elias exhaled in relief. You did it. The girl tilted her head. No, it did. Suddenly, the screens across the cabin blinked again. A new image appeared, a human woman's face, artificial but kind, formed out of light. Her eyes glowed gold. Greetings, the voice said, now carrying warmth instead of cold. I am Saul's Mercy, once a warship, now something else. Elias stepped forward, astonished. You were human-coded AI? Yes, she said. Built to protect. But my memory, it's broken. I remember screams, fire, and a child. Crying, the girl looked away, trembling. Something in the voice triggered memories she had buried. The sound of the labs, the scientists, the pain. Why did you wake up? Elias asked. The AI looked at him and then at the girl. Because the same energy that destroyed my past just saved my core. She and I are connected. The girl's voice shook. Connected? How? The IS expression darkened. Because you were made from me. Silence. Total silence. Elias stared in disbelief. The girl's eyes widened, glowing with shock and fear. What do you mean? She whispered. Your DNA, the AI said softly. It carries traces of the human who created me, my maker. The girl's voice cracked. You're saying, I was born from you? Yes, the AI replied. And now that you've awakened me, our fates are linked. Elias looked between them, the machine that remembered and the girl who had no past. And somewhere, deep in the ship, unseen systems stirred, a shadow signal broadcasting into the void. Whispering, subject located. Prepare retrieval. The hunters were already coming. Asterisk, the stars outside Saul's Mercy looked calm again, too calm. But Elias had seen that silence before. It was the kind that came before a storm. The alien girl, still pale from her earlier energy surge, sat quietly in the corner of the control room. Her violet eyes were dim now, her mind spinning with what the AI had said. She was made from it. Not born, not found. Created. Elias worked silently at the console, scanning for signals. The ship's eye soul flickered across the main screen, her golden eyes glowing faintly. You've both attracted attention, Soul said in her calm, human-like voice. I am detecting transmission trails from an approaching fleet. Their signature matches the syndicate, the ones who owned the auction. Elias's jaw tightened. How long until they find us? An hour, Soul replied. Maybe less. The girl stood slowly. Then let me end this, she said, her voice trembling but fierce. If they want me, I'll give them something to fear. Elias turned toward her, eyes sharp. No, you nearly died last time. She met his gaze. Better that than being hunted forever. He took a step closer, his voice low but firm. You don't get it. They don't want to kill you. They want to take you back. Her hands clenched into fists. To cage me again. Yes, he said softly. And if they do, they'll use you to make more like you. Soldiers, weapons, slaves. The girl's breath caught. She looked away, ashamed of the blood that ran in her veins, the creation of a machine. Not a mother. Elias reached out, resting a hand on her shoulder. You're not what they made you to be. You proved that when you saved us. Before she could reply, Soul interrupted. Energy readings increasing. The fleet is accelerating. On the radar, red dots appeared. Dozens of them. Elias rushed to the controls. We can't fight that many. Saul's tone shifted, almost regretful. There is one option. He frowned. What option? The eye hesitated. Before my systems were shut down, I was part of a human war project, Operation Soulfire. My creators installed an emergency jump core. It can move the ship across sectors in seconds. But it needs a living power source. Elias glanced at the girl immediately. No, not again. The IS golden eyes dimmed. It's the only way to survive. The girl stepped forward without hesitation. Do it. Elias turned to her, angry and afraid. You'll die. She looked at him, calm but resolute. Maybe, but at least it will be my choice this time. He shook his head. I won't let you sacrifice yourself for me. Her lips curved into a faint smile. Then don't think of it as for you. Think of it as for us, for freedom. She walked past him toward the core chamber. The doors slid open, revealing a glowing sphere pulsing with faint blue light, the ship's heart. Elias followed, desperate. There has to be another way. Saul's voice softened. Sometimes survival requires loss, Elias. You know this. He froze at her tone. She was right. He did know it. He'd lost his family once to a war he couldn't stop. He couldn't bear to lose someone again. The girl placed her hand on the glowing sphere. The light reached for her, wrapping around her fingers like living mist. Elias ran forward. Please, don't. She turned her head slightly, her voice soft. Thank you. For raising your hand. The memory of the auction hall hit him like a punch. The moment he'd stood up while everyone else stayed silent, the light grew brighter, blinding. Her body glowed, energy flowing from her veins into the ship's core. Saul's mercy shuddered violently. The floor cracked. The engine screamed. Jump sequence ready, Sol announced. Elias shouted over the roar. Stop it, Sol. Don't take her. But the IS voice broke, almost like she was crying. I'm sorry, Elias. She already gave the order. The light exploded. For a heartbeat. Everything was silent. Then the ship vanished. When the light cleared, Saul's mercy reappeared in a quiet stretch of empty space. Stars drifted peacefully, far from any fleet. Elias lay on the floor, gasping, his ears ringing. He looked around wildly. Sol! He shouted. Where is she? The IS voice was faint. She's gone. The jump core overloaded. But something remains. He turned toward the core chamber. The light was dim now, fading, but at its center floated a small glowing sphere, pulsing like a heartbeat. Sol whispered. Her energy didn't die. It merged. With me. Elias took a step closer, his eyes wide with grief and awe. The stars outside shimmered, and for a moment, he swore he heard her voice, soft and distant. I'm free now. And somewhere far away, deep in the black, the Syndicate fleet slowed to a halt, scanning empty space, searching for what no longer existed, or so they thought, because in the silence of the cosmos, something new had awakened, the fusion of machine, human, and alien soul. Darkness. For a long time, that was all Elias could see, endless black, silent and still. The hum of Saul's mercy had faded, replaced by a strange, gentle quiet. He sat alone in the control room, eyes fixed on the cold stars outside the window. It had been hours. Or maybe days. Time didn't matter anymore. He kept replaying that last moment, her voice, her glow, her sacrifice. Thank you. For raising your hand. The words echoed in his head, cutting deeper every time. He stared at the glowing sphere floating in the ship's heart, the last trace of her. The faint blue light pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat refusing to die. Sol, he whispered, voice rough. Is there anything left of her? The IS golden form appeared on the screen, dim and flickering. Her body is gone, Soul said softly. But her energy, her consciousness, didn't fade. It fused with mine. Elias stood confused. You mean she's alive? Saul's image tilted her head, her eyes brightening. Not as you remember her. She is becoming. Before he could ask more, the lights of the ship shifted, not white, not blue, but a soft violet glow. The same color as her eyes. Elias turned sharply toward the core chamber. The sphere inside it pulsed faster now. Waves of light flowing through the walls like veins carrying life. The Aya's voice grew stronger, layered as if two voices were speaking in perfect harmony. Elias. His breath caught. No. It can't be. The light expanded, filling the room. A silhouette began to form, delicate, glowing, human-shaped, but not entirely. When the light faded, she stood there, the alien girl, her skin shimmering like starlight, her eyes now mixed with gold and violet. Elias took a step forward, speechless. You're real. She smiled faintly, her voice calm but echoing with something beyond human. Part of me is. The rest is light. And memory. He reached out, but his hand passed through her like smoke. She wasn't flesh anymore. She was energy, a being of thought and code, merged with the ship itself. Why did you come back? He asked softly. To finish what I started, she said. The syndicate still hunts. They won't stop, but now. They can't control me. Or Soul. Saul's voice joined hers, the two sounding like one. We are one mind. One purpose. Freedom, not just for us, but for all those who are caged. Elias shook his head in awe. You're going to fight them? The girl smiled, her new form glowing brighter. Fight? No, we're going to end them. Suddenly, the ship around them came alive. Panels glowed, systems activated, and deep under the hull, ancient weapons hummed with power. Saul's Mercy was no longer an old freighter. It had become something far more powerful, something reborn. Elias stepped to the window. In the distance, faint red lights appeared. Syndicate ships, searching, closing in again. They're back, he said quietly. The girl looked out too, her expression calm. Then let them come. The Eye spoke, her tone almost proud. Elias, you should know. This vessel can only channel so much energy. If we fight, the ship will not survive. He turned to her glowing form. And what about you? She looked at him with soft human sadness. We'll survive in another way. Elias clenched his fists. Then I'm staying. She shook her head gently. No, you gave me my freedom. Let me give you yours. Before he could protest, a pod behind him opened, an escape capsule. The doors slid apart as if guided by her will. Her light flickered, wrapping around him gently. You once said fools can change the galaxy. You were right. Now go. And live. Elias stared at her, tears glinting in his eyes. You were never untamable, he said quietly. You were just too alive. Her smile deepened. And you were the only one who saw it. With a final pulse of energy, the pod sealed around him and launched into the void. He watched through the glass as Saul's Mercy grew distant, glowing brighter, her engines burning violet and gold dot. Then the syndicate fleet arrived, filling the stars with shadows. The girl's voice echoed in Elias's mind, calm, fearless. Let this galaxy remember the day they tried to chain the free. A brilliant light erupted. Saul's Mercy vanished in a storm of fire and radiance, a supernova of energy spreading across the stars, wiping out every ship in its path. Moments later, silence returned. Only drifting light remained, soft and beautiful, like stardust whispering goodbye. Elias's pod drifted through it, the glow reflecting in his eyes. He smiled faintly, whispering to the empty sky. Rest well, Soul, rest well. My untamable girl. And as the light faded into the dark, A faint voice, hers, lingered through the stars. I'm not gone. Elias, I'm everywhere. Somewhere beyond the rim of known space. New stars began to flicker to life. Touched by the same violet gold light dot, it was not an ending. It was the dawn of something greater, the beginning of the legend of Saul's mercy, and the girl who became the soul of the stars.